I'll hand over to the audience. I'll give you notice of them in order. I'm going to ask you, Zia, what the single worst and the single best thing that this government has done. Brief answers. The single worst and the single best thing that the Tories did when they were in power. The single worst and the single best thing about Trump. And then I'm going to ask you, which is worse, or who is worse? Tommy Robinson or Jeremy Corbyn? No, okay, those are the four. So the first one, this government, best and worst.
Okay, so worst, I honestly do not probably forming a government in the first place would be the, coming to power with no plan, forming a government in the first place, honestly, we'd be all day. Is there anything good that they've done? I genuinely cannot think of one. I genuinely, you're on layers of gradation. No, I'm afraid. Nope. I cannot think of a single good thing.
Nope.
With the Tories, what was the worst thing they did? Claim in 4 successive manifestos they were going to bring net migration down to tens of thousands, and then leave office with that number at 1 million. I think that was pretty catastrophic, but there are many other things I could talk about there. What was the best thing they did? I actually would say that some of the things they did around education were actually very, very important and helpful. I think there's a lot more actually to do, and I'm sure you'd agree with that, but you know, there was a period there where they did hold the line on that assault. So I would give them some credit for that. But again, I'm afraid the scorecard is heavily skewed, like insanely heavily skewed to the negative, Michael. Okay. So
and the Donald, best thing he's done and the worst thing he's done?
The best thing I think he's done is revivify that sense of optimism in America. This idea that America, it was morning again in America, and America can walk tall again and stop apologizing for itself and its past, and be excited about its future. Probably the worst thing. Well, look, I'm not a huge fan of the tariffs that he's imposed on this country. I'm not a huge fan of those. I'm not a huge fan of tariffs generally. But listen, President Trump he's America first. He's going to do deals to benefit America. And in terms of Jeremy listen, absolutely the worst is Jeremy Corbyn. This is a man who basically refused to say, when he was running to be the Prime Minister, refused to even say he would use our nuclear deterrent in the event we were attacked first with a nuclear weapon, thus rendering our entire Trident program null void. I can't get into the head of someone who would do that. And I would say this too, Tommy Robinson has said things about the rape gangs and was making those arguments for years, and was disparaged, and has been proven to be correct on those matters and deserves some credit for that. So,
could he ever join Reform?
No.
Very clear. Okay, over to the audience.